Hello everyone, we are on week 17. It's an A week. Two really quick announcements. The farm is selling bulk sweet peppers. So you can get a 4-pound bag. Yes, a 4-pound bag for $12. You don't have to pre-order them. They're just available on pickup days. They were available today. They'll be available Thursday, and they'll also definitely be available next week. If you roast and can, those make a good option for that. You can also freeze these. So all you need to do is wash them, slice them up. I either slice them into rounds or into long lengths, and then put them on a sheet pan, throw them in the freezer, let them freeze, pull them out, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and then they're good to go. Obviously, you're not going to eat them raw when you defrost them, but they're great for chilies. They're great for like sausage and peppers. They're great for anything cooked. So you can, just like we've been doing some of the other things, you can preserve them for the winter time and have farm fresh sweet peppers. So that option is there for you as an add-on on CSA pickup days. The other announcement is a quick thank you from our farmers. Both Trisha and Tom are very grateful for all the volunteers that helped out on Saturday, and they've scheduled an additional volunteer day for next Saturday. This weekend the weather's a little bit iffy, so next Saturday in Regalsville. So stay tuned for more details for that. But there'll be another opportunity if you didn't get a chance, or if you want to help again, to volunteer at the farm and help our farmers out. All right, so let's jump right into what we have this week. It should be fairly quick. Most of the items we've had before. We'll start with our tomatoes. So we have 2 pounds of red beefsteak tomatoes. Our tomatoes stay on the counter. We do not want to refrigerate them. Awesome, just sliced and used on sandwiches, or just sliced with a sprinkle of sea salt as a snack. Great for salsas, great roasted and then blended as a sauce. I posted it was actually my lunch today. I sliced up a tomato and served it with the fried cheese from Valley Milk House. So look at that post if you want to do that. But we have lots of ingredients. We've had lots of ingredients for pestos. So pesto with the tomatoes is really good. Just sliced in a salad also. So those are stored on the countertop. All right, let's jump into our peppers. So I talked about the sweet peppers a little bit and the availability to buy bulk bags. We have red and orange sweet peppers. And then we also have green cubanelle peppers. Both are stored in the crisper drawer of our fridge. They can be served raw. They're delicious. We had sausage and peppers tonight, so I made a big batch of sweet peppers and onions to serve with that. But I will just slice these up and serve them as a snack for the boys when they get home from school, or they'll take them with them for their lunches, for their vegetable. And I talked about freezing them. So you can slice them and freeze them on a sheet pan, pull them out, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and store them for the summer if you're not going to use these this week. But they will last more than this week. The other peppers we received are hot peppers. So we got 4 of them. I grabbed 2 poblanos and 2 jalapenos. Same idea, we're storing them in the crisper drawer of the fridge. We want to keep them cold. For our hot peppers, when we remove the seeds and the membranes on the inside, we're removing most of the heat, or quite a bit of the heat. So if you want them less hot, then remove the membranes and the seeds. If you want to keep that heat, then leave those. These can also be chopped up and stored frozen. So I've seen a couple of posts, not necessarily from our group, but from another group I'm in, where they're chopping up our hot peppers de-seeding them because they didn't like the extra heat, but chopping them, putting them in Ziploc bags and freezing them. And then you just take out a couple scoops and add them to salsas or to chilies and things like that. So we can definitely preserve these as well. But these we're gonna use for any addition of heat. And last week we talked a little bit more, Trisha had posted the heat indexes of all of our different hot peppers that are offered at the farm, along with a bunch of different recipes. So refer to that post if you're struggling with using your hot peppers. All right, we have salad mix. So our salad mix we want to store unwashed in a plastic bag in the fridge. This is probably the first item we want to use this week. So this is definitely within the next few days, use this, best used in salads. You can simply throw a little olive oil and lemon juice or a little bit of vinegar on it, toss it, and then serve it like that. Or you can add a bunch of other ingredients. So like our peppers, our tomatoes, you can make a big tossed salad with it. Great for lunches. Great as a side, like if you're having eggs or something like that with breakfast, you can actually serve a salad as a side. I know it's not your typical breakfast meal, but it does go really well. So that gets stored in the fridge in a plastic bag. That's what we want to use quickly in terms of what we have this week. We also have kale. So kale we're gonna store in a bag, a plastic bag in the fridge. We can make kale chips, we can eat it raw, we can do massaged kale salad, we can make green cubes, so quick blanch, blend it, throw it into ice cube trays, and then freeze that and save it for like smoothies and stuff. I like to store this in my Debbie Meyer green bags because it lasts a little bit longer, but kale will be showcased in this week's recipe. So I have a fall, kind of a fall inspired recipe for this week that I'll be working on tomorrow. So stay tuned for that come Thursday. There's also the kale pesto. So that was a blog post from this season. We also have escarole. Escarole can actually be eaten raw or cooked. A lot of the time it's used in soups. It pairs really well with beans. It is bitter, so if you're gonna serve it raw, like in a salad, your inner leaves are a little bit less bitter than the outside ones. But you can serve it just the way it is, and then serve it with something. It's recommended that you serve it with something sweeter, like pears and apples, since they're in season now. So you could make an escarole and apple salad with maybe some cranberries or raisins on it. That will work as well. This gets stored in the fridge in a plastic bag. So I have different size Debbie Meyer green bags, so this will go in a really big one and then stored in the fridge. Okay, we have sweet onions. Our sweet onions get stored in a cool, dry place. They can be served raw. They can be cooked. Sweet onions add so much flavor to a lot of different dishes. So I kind of interchange all my different onions, whether it be red or yellow or sweet onions, and it just changes up the flavor of dishes. These are really good caramelized. They're really good in like an onion soup as well. These will be showcased in this week's recipe as well. We have garlic. Garlic, cool, dry place. I always say garlic can be added to everything. Definitely really good for salsas, for roasting vegetables, for our tomato sauces. You can actually, if you have a lot of extra garlic, I never tend to have extra garlic, but if you do have extra garlic, you can peel your garlic, peel the cloves, put all the cloves into a Ziploc bag and throw that in the freezer. So that will preserve them as well. I just never tend to have extra cloves, so that never really happens for me. So cool, dry place along with our onions. Our onions and our garlic we want to keep away from potatoes, because the potatoes give off moisture and will make our onions go bad quicker. So keep them in two separate locations because they're both cool, dry places. We have spaghetti squash. So our spaghetti squash can be cooked whole. It can be halved and de-seeded and cooked that way. Or there's a recipe on the blog for slicing it into rounds, removing the seeds, and roasting it in the rounds. That obviously is going to take your least amount of time, but it does take time to cut it because it's kind of tough to get through. So our spaghetti squash can be used as an alternative to pastas. It can be served hot, just like you would a pasta, or cold. So it's a great side dish, or it's a great thing to use as a base for sauces and roasted vegetables and things like that. Cool, dry place for this guy. This is probably the least of our worries for this week. This will last a couple months. So if you have other stuff on your menu and you're not going to use this week, it's totally fine. Just store it in a cool, dry place. New this week, we have not butternut squash, a version of squash, honeynut squash. So these look like butternuts. They look like baby butternuts. They do not need to be peeled because their skin is thin. They are delicious. They will not last as long as a butternut. So you can cook it just like you would a butternut squash. You can slice it in half, de-seed it, roast it. Typically it's best roasted at high heat. And these can be added to soups. They're really good. I like roasting them. Really good with some cinnamon. So these are a great fall side. These honey nuts will be used in this week's recipes. So the onions, the garlic, the kale, and the honey nuts. I think we'll work on that tomorrow. So the last of our shishitos we picked today, I'm pretty sure this was the last week. Last Thursday, there was a post on a bunch of different ways to use shishitos. So we love to blister them. We've been talking about blistering them, serving them as an appetizer, but I did a recipe post where I used them in 3 different ways. So I pickled them, I fried them, dipped them in a tempura and then fried them, and then also charred them on the grill. So all 3 are great options if you have an abundant amount of shishitos. Like I still have last week's shishitos plus this week, so there's still a lot that I need to use. And they'll last a little bit longer. So we're gonna store them in the fridge. Like I'll store them in that plastic container. If you don't have them in a plastic container, put them in a plastic bag and they'll store well like that. All right, 2 more items. We have russet potatoes. These are stored in a cool, dry place away from our onions. These are great baking potatoes. So they're good baked, they're good roasted, they're good grilled. Like since they're bigger, you can peel them, wash them, peel them, and serve, like slice them nice and long and grill them, or you can just bake them. And I love doing like a baked potato bar or a mashed potato bar. It's just a fun dinner. So you basically bake the potatoes and then do all your toppings. And I always do a couple different proteins, some different veggies, and then like you could caramelize the onions, you could cook up like a tomato sauce, you could do bacon and things like that, some different cheeses, and then you just serve it all out and everyone makes their own loaded baked potato. Or you could also do it with mashed potatoes. So that's just a fun idea if you haven't ever tried that before. So those get stored in a cool, dry place away from our onions. Last but not least, we have either cilantro or dill. Both get stored in a glass jar with some water. You can put plastic wrap over top. Keep an eye on the water. We obviously want to make sure there's water still in there over the next few days. We don't want it to dry out, or otherwise our herbs will dry out. If you have any herb keepers, you're more than welcome to use those as well. I don't have them, so this is how I store it. This gets stored in the refrigerator. So unlike basil, which likes the countertop, both dill and cilantro like to be in the refrigerator. Cilantro is amazing for salsas. It also pairs really well with lime, so you could do like a cilantro lime dressing, great for on the salad greens. cilantro freezes really well, so we got a really big bunch this week. You could lay it in between the paper towels, throw it in the freezer in a Ziploc bag, and save it for later. I'll probably do that with about half of it. Dill. So dill freezes really well, same idea. And then that pairs really well with eggs. You can make a dill dip for our veggies. You could, it pairs really well with our potatoes. So dill mashed potatoes or dill on top of potatoes is really good. I think that's it. So that was kind of nice and quick tonight. A lot of repeat items, things we've talked about before. If you have any questions or things that you have not used from last week that you're struggling with, please let us know. We'll help and guide you. Make sure you're looking at the Facebook group for lots of ideas throughout the week for what people are using. We're posting lots of recipe links and pictures that inspire others to use their ingredients in different ways. So make sure you refer to the Facebook group for that, and let us know if you have any problems with any of the produce, struggling with ways to use it, and we'll guide and help you. So look forward to the recipe coming on Thursday. That will showcase our kale, our honey nuts, and our onions and our garlic, I think. Stay tuned. I will see you all next week.